All right. What is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. We got to talk about Kaspa. Now, Kaspa has really been the only thing keeping my interest in the crypto market, right? If I'm being truthful, it's you can take a look at how crypto has performed, right? Let's just throw on Bitcoin here for a second, right, and do a quick comparison, and you guys can see that Bitcoin, has basically vastly underperformed something like Kaspa, right? I mean, you can take a look. Kaspa's up thousands and thousands of percent since the stock market bottom in October, and Bitcoin is only up about 46% at that time, right? Bitcoin is this orange line here. Now, we're going to break down basically where I think Kaspa is going to go. I'm going to give you guys how and why I think Kaspa is going to go up there. And we're also going to talk about, the explanation in the last video, how, I was telling a lot of people, this is not a double top yet, right? Too many people, oftentimes they see a double top forming. A double top is confirmed once you break a neckline, right? And so we went over the neckline here at 0.032249. We also described how, that would also potentially be a really good buying opportunity if it had formed and came down to the neckline, for a multitude of reasons, right? Not only was it the 50% retracement level, which tends to be a strong buying area, right? If it were to come down to this area, and then it's also at the bottom of this support trend line that we've tested 3 or 4 times here on the daily time frame. Okay, so even if you shorted up here or you sold up here and it started to come back down, it's not a true double top until it breaks through that neckline, and that's when the pattern plays out and will take you down to these targets here. So that's one of the main things that I wanted to emphasize. And you can see that, even though it tried to start going down here and have a breakdown of essentially this trend line right here, okay, there's a trend line right here, and you can see it tried to break down there, but there was no follow through from the bears pushing price lower back down to the neckline. And we're very close to getting the breakout that I'm looking for. And it's not here that I'm paying attention to. It's actually down here on the RSI. There's also an important signal that I'm looking for on this indicator, the MACD. We're going to go over why I use those indicators and what it is that I'm looking for in those indicators in today's video. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more. Now, as always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So please be sure to read through the full disclaimer, and we'll go ahead and get right back into the chart. Now, why do I have these numbers on the chart, right? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Well, markets tend to move in both 3-wave and 5-wave structures, okay? Now, your 3-wave structures typically come in the form of an ABC, right? So 3-wave and 5-wave structures. So to me, we got our wave 1 up, we got our wave 2 down, we had our wave 3 up, we had our wave 4 down, and now we're in the process of wave 5, which is going to target 0.057 to 0.063, even potentially as high as 0.072. We'll just have to see exactly how high this thing can go. Now, your wave 1, your wave 3, and your wave 5, typically those should be your 5-wave impulsive moves, right? So, the impulsive moves, of the trend. And then your wave 2 and your wave 4, those should be an ABC, right? So, for our wave 2 here, all right, we got an A, B, C down, and then we started our next move up. For this wave 4 right here, we got an A, B, C down right here. And most recently, we just completed an ABC down as well, coming to that 50% retracement level, and now we're pushing up higher on the price. Okay, now, this right here essentially, is also going to be a corrective wave, because if you look, we basically had a 1 up, 2 down, right? And if we zoom in some even more on this, okay, we can see, that, we talked about these moves should be 5-wave, okay? So we had the 1 up, and then we had an ABC down, okay? And then we got, our 1 up, 2 down here, and then wave 3 was another 5-wave move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And after we completed that, we got our right here ABC correction. All right. And to me, it appears that we've gotten a 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and we're looking for 5 up here. And we could expect some pullback, okay, up here towards these price targets, and especially towards the top of this rising wedge. Now, the rising wedge is something we need to be cautious of, okay? It's nowhere near breaking, just like this double top was nowhere near breaking. So it's not something we don't have to worry about right now, but it's something we want to monitor, okay? And we want to keep an eye on this and see how it ends up playing out. And if there's any sustenance to this, and if there is, and we get a breakdown retest, then we could see a significant price drop. Okay, but we're far away from there. Now, I mentioned some of these indicators, right? And really, if we zoom in some more, we can see these indicators a little bit better for you guys. So that's what we're going to do. On the MACD is what's known as a lagging indicator. That's what this indicator is. So this means that it's going to tell you something that's happened after it's already happened. Okay. So what I mean by that is a buy signal typically on the MACD is when this white line here crosses above the red line. And you can see that that buy signal actually comes here after we've already had a significant move to the upside. And what do we see? We see price actually comes down before it starts this big, massive rally. But each time we've gotten these crossovers, we've had a significant push up in price, right? So we have a crossover here, all right? Then we push up in price to this point where we get the next bullish crossover. We have another significant push up in price, okay? And then we pull back right here. We get another crossover to the upside, push up in price, and then we get our bearish crossover where the white line crosses the red line, and we get that ABC correction to the downside. And here recently, we got the crossover right at this point. We had a significant move to the upside. Lots of sellers in this area trying to form a double top. We pull back and, we warned that, hey, we want to see if this thing is going to do like it did over here, where it crosses to the downside and it starts creating space between that white line and that red line. That's going to be bearish. But if you see it crossed below and it's already starting to cross back up above. So if we can get a bullish crossover on the MACD, that's going to be a nice signal. And that's going to be something that you want to pay attention to. Now, I mentioned, that the MACD is what's known as a lagging indicator. The RSI down here is what's known as a leading indicator, right? And so a really good example of that is the divergence that we had. So here we have a high on the RSI. We have a high, all right? Your RSI is going to measure the relative strength of a stock, of a crypto, token, coin, whatever it is that you're looking at its given price levels. Okay. And then what do? Well, we come here and we actually make a higher high, right? So very simple terms, right? We have a high and then we have a higher high, all right? Right over here. We have a high here and then we have a lower high right over here. Okay. So now we're seeing what's known as a divergence where price action is going higher and the RSI is going lower. That's a simple term known as a bearish divergence. And it's an indicator you could see some bearish activity. Now that's, again, a leading indicator. Look at where that bearish divergence happens. It happens right up here. And then what do we see? We see that move to the downside. Now your MACD got the bearish crossover here after we already had a significant move to the downside, right? So let's draw some vertical lines here and just keep them on the chart and take a look, okay, at, basically how these worked out. So the first thing that we got was the bearish divergence. And that was an indicator that we could see some bearish activity in the future because it was on our leading indicator. The MACD tells you what's happened after it's already happened. So the leading indicator told us that we could drop, and we did drop. And then after we had that nice drop, our lagging indicator, the MACD, told us that, things are going bearish. And sure enough, price ended up, dropping even lower from that point for our ABC correction to the downside. So if we can get a bullish crossover here on the MACD, all right, that's going to be an indicator that we could see some move to the upside and try to hit these wave 5 targets up here. All right. And if we can break out from this bearish divergence, that's also going to be a sign of strength and momentum that we want to pay attention to, right? Look at how many times we've rejected this trend line, right? Here's the initial point. We reject it here. We reject it here. We reject it here. We reject it here. So we've touched this trend line here about 5 times now. And the more times you test the trend line, the weaker it's going to get. And if we can get some follow through here on our RSI and gather some momentum and break out above this trend line, right, that could lead to us hitting our bullish price targets to the upside. So that's the main things that I'm watching for right now when it comes to Kaspa. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. All right. Do you think Kaspa is going higher? Do you think that now is a good point to sell and maybe you want to take some profits? How long have you guys been in Kaspa, right? Are you guys up thousands of percent? Are you guys up hundreds of percent? Is this something that you prefer to just trade? I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say down below.